to Just Us Thinking. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm your co host, Rebecca.
All right, and today we're going to cover customer service, aren't we?
We are, yep.
All right, and Mikey's in here doing the sound.
Hello, everybody.
So we're all here. I think before we get started on our show, you have something for us, right?
I do. I came across an article the other day about the top 10 catches of 2022.
So what do you mean catches from?
These are weird items that have been seized at airport checkpoints.
I remember seeing one time at an airport they had like all stuff that they got that they confiscated in like a little glass container.
Yeah.
Was that here or is that in Kansas City?
It could be anywhere. They probably have a little something at each airport.
The article, like, the little tag on it said, seized items, and one of them was a chainsaw. How do you smuggle a chainsaw on an airplane?
That would be interesting.
All right, what's on your list?
All right, so number 10 is soiled money and crutches.
What?
Basically, someone stuffed some money in some crutches, and apparently the money wasn't really clean, so it was probably nasty. And you'll like this one. Number 9 is an inert grenade. This one was found in a carry-on bag at the Milwaukee Mitchell Airport in July 2022.
Like a grenade?
An actual grenade, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does one get away with that?
How does one get a grenade?
Those are both good questions. Why does one think he or she would be able to get through security with that?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that got me.
Yeah. So in Washington at the Dulles Airport, they found 3 cattle prods stuffed inside a carry-on guitar case.
Yeah, where else would you carry your cattle prods?
Like, what the heck? So, of course, he just had to repack them and check the bag and not carry it on, so.
They could go under the plane, just not with him.
Yeah.
Just in case he runs some cattle up in the front, he don't want to poke or prod him.
Right.
Yeah, I can see why they want to check those. If I had access to a cattle prod on a plane with some of these customers, yeah. All right.
That could make for an interesting flight.
Yep. All right, what else you got?
So in Atlanta, there was a handgun hidden inside a gutted PlayStation console.
They do realize that, the x-rays can see through plastic, right?
You would think so, yeah, but obviously not.
It would have been more impressive if it was like encased in lead, thinking that it's Superman looking at it, but
yeah.
Okay.
Another interesting one, this one was in Boise, Idaho. And this is new. I mean, I guess it's probably been happening a while, but people were hiding drugs inside of hair scrunchies.
Like, I've never heard of that before.
I haven't either. I've heard like human trafficking, they'll put stuff on themselves, but never hair scrunchies.
Well, I mean, if you mix it, it makes sense actually. You just put the hair scrunchie in your hair to hold your hair up, walk through security, and if it's all contained in there, they probably wouldn't even think twice. That's actually an excellent place to hide it.
That's actually a good idea, yeah.
Man.
So another one was a double-bladed knife that was hidden inside the casing of a laptop. This one was in Richmond, Virginia.
Did they draw the line at double edge, or I mean, could you hide a single edge in there?
They could try, I'm sure.
And they'll get caught just the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So another one, kind of interesting. A gun and a medical sling. Looks like it's one of those slings for your arms if your arm's injured,
Okay. I mean, that doesn't seem smart to do either.
Yeah. He alleged that he forgot to remove the loaded weapon from his sling.
I used to carry a gun all the time.
Yeah.
I have my concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm. So do I.
Not ever have I ever thought, well, I could put on a sling on my arm. And I mean, the slings don't come with, a gun holster standard. I mean,
They don't.
can you order a sling with a gun holster?
And what makes it even more interesting, this was in New York.
Well, yeah, New York is New York.
Well, I know, but don't they like have all these like strict gun laws, and you're not supposed to have this or have that?
Yeah, but that doesn't stop people. Like,
Yeah.
criminals still do it. All right, that's good.
Oh, here's another one, a good one. Peanut butter firearm. Officers found disassembled parts of a handgun wrapped in plastic and a magazine loaded with ammo inside jars of peanut butter at JFK Airport.
I mean, did they, like, was there peanut butter in the jar?
Yeah. They just stuck it, like, they wrapped it in plastic and stuck it in the peanut butter jar. Within the peanut butter.
I mean, first and foremost, if you are trying to avoid the dogs at the airport, smuggling peanut butter is probably not. Peanut butter is actually not allowed on the airplanes.
It's not?
No, it's considered liquid. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yeah, peanut butter is considered liquid. So if you're trying to take your jar of Skippy, nope, can't do it. It's against the law. You have to drink it or not take it. So that guy was just doomed from the start.
Wow.
I mean, dogs love peanut butter. They're going to alert on that peanut butter.
Like no other.
Right.
Wow. All right. So this one is kind of unpleasant, but it was November 7th. They discovered a handgun stuffed inside a raw whole chicken.
Well, I mean, why is someone taking a raw chicken on a plane?
That I don't know.
I mean, that a raw chicken.
For Thanksgiving.
That's a turkey. I would understand a turkey. But why would you, I mean, I don't, why would you do that? I mean.
They probably thought they could get away with it.
I mean, how do you go through security? Yeah, I would like to check my raw chicken.
Well, it probably was like in some type of cooler. And then, I don't know if they x-ray the cooler.
How many people take a raw chicken on a plane? I could think of one because you read this story.
Yeah.
There's an old joke about lobsters coming on the plane. I get that. I mean, but that's...
Or snakes.
Well, snakes on the plane are only when Samuel Jackson's on the plane too. So, wow, okay.
Yeah. And last but not least,
This is number one,
this
right?
is number one.
All right.
Fentanyl candy. In Los Angeles, they confiscated about 12,000 fentanyl pills from a suspect who had allegedly hidden them inside a candy box.
12,000 pills.
12,000.
And that's fentanyl. That's the stuff that kills you.
Yeah, that's a lot of pills.
Ooh, I'm glad they got that.
Right? That's crazy. I just don't understand how people...
Think they could do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And that's weird, like, how they would actually think to look in there again.
Well, I mean, someone comes up and says, "Yeah, I'm getting on the plane. What's in the cooler? My raw chicken." I mean, they're probably scratching their heads. First and foremost, if you tell that to them. If I was TSA, I'd be, I got to see this.
Yeah.
I mean, most of what you described was things that just didn't make sense.
Yeah. None of these made sense.
I don't understand the money, though. The money's a little different. The money stuck in crutches, who cares?
Yeah. It might have been a lot of money, though.
Doesn't matter. It's not illegal to have money, is it?
Yeah, unless it's drug money.
Well, that's true, but they have to prove it's drug money.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that was their hiding spot. I mean, people hide money all the time.
Well, that's true.
When grandma passes away, everybody likes to, scout around and look behind pictures. That's where grandmas used to hide money all the time, was behind pictures.
Yeah. I don't think mine ever did, though.
How do you know? Did you go look?
No, I guess not.
Right. All right. So, customer service. Well, that's kind of starts our customer service there.
Yeah.
Don't do stupid things. All right. That's so how you want to do the customer service here? Want me to go and then you go and we go round robin here?
Sure. That sounds like a good plan.
All right. So I'm going to go over kind of pet peeves that I like. One of my biggest ones is now most companies will let you do like a payment extension, which means if you can't pay your bills this month, they'll give you a free, payment extension. You could do it with, credit cards, car payments. Your mortgage can do it for you. They'll let you kind of skip a payment and, get some kind of way of getting back on track if you ran into a problem.
Right.
I guess, and which I'm fine with. I'm okay with that. But let's say someone makes 12 car payments.
Mm-hmm.
That's a year's worth of car payments. I don't understand why they would need 6, 7, 8 months worth of extensions in that time period.
That's a good question. I'm sure a lot of things can factor into that, but that is a bit excessive.
See, and that's where, I get companies wanting to help customers out. I mean, but there has to be a point where that's almost self-harm. I mean, if you think about it, you gotta, chances are if you're doing that bad and you have a high, interest rate, 10% interest rate, that's, 6, 7 payments you're putting on the end. If you're going to continue to do that, where in a 2-year period of time, you've extended almost a year out.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, that's more harmful to you than anything, because what's going to happen is, like with the company I work for, that last payment comes due, and they may still owe, your final payment's $5,000. They're not going to be able to pay that.
Right. So then they have to do like what do they do on that case? Like a repayment?
Yeah,
So-
we call it a final payment reschedule.
Okay.
So yeah, it's more harm than not. I mean, I could get, something happening even once a year I can get. But, can you imagine doing that with your mortgage? Can you imagine, you have, the mortgage companies, and I remember one of them doing, well, yeah, we could do that. We'll extend that payment, but you're going to have to spread it over, your regular pay. So it basically ups your regular payment for like a year or something like that, which doesn't seem to make sense, because if you can't make the payment, making a higher payment just doesn't seem to work. And that's how people, spiral out of control.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
It's sad how easily that can happen.
well, people take advantage of the system. They don't use it for as it's intended, as an emergency situation. You should only use those in an emergency.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? When companies lend to people when they really shouldn't. I wonder how much of that goes on too.
well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of that happens too, and that probably, will play right into, the person not being able to make the bills.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. What's your number one on this?
My number one would have to be when someone calls in and they want to change a reservation for the next week at like 4:55. I'm like, really? I'm like, and they're like, well, they just emailed me. I'm like, you couldn't wait till tomorrow? I'm like, aren't you trying to go home? Because I know I am.
Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where I can see if they were traveling the next day and they're like, hey, I need to leave at 6 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock tomorrow. Like, okay, I can get that. But when it's like a week out and yeah, I'm like, no, just go home, call us tomorrow.
Well, and it's I guess it's the last minute things that people do. I mean, if you know a company closes at 5 o'clock, don't call at 4:59.
Yeah.
I mean, you what you're doing is, and especially if you don't know what you're needing, or something you're needing is going to take a while. Like, does an exchange take some time?
It does, yeah. It can take up to 10 minutes depending on what you have to do.
So by the time you get done with a customer, and then I'm going to gather you do it when you're off the phone with customer, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
Right. So now you can't clock out for another 10 minutes, because the phone call is going to be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then so you're stuck there for another 10 minutes because you decided to call last minute. That's not, yeah.
And I get if they're on the West Coast and it's like maybe only, I can't math right now, but like 2:55 their time, Maybe, but when they're on the East Coast and it's like 5 o'clock their time too, it's like, aren't you going home? Because I know you're off work usually around 5.
Well, people do that in restaurants too. I mean, how many times have you seen, the restaurant getting ready to close? It's like, well, we close at 9 today, and then that one person walks in at like,
Yeah, that's annoying too.
yeah.
I can get, sometimes I try not to. If I know they're closing, I'm like, oh, nope, they're closing. Let's go somewhere else. Or something like that, and
Right. No, and I get that, and I guess restaurants could be a little different because the staff has to do some cleaning. So even if they're going to cater to one or two people that walk in, there's still stuff for them to do.
right.
If you call your credit card company or your bank, or you walk into your bank at like 5 o'clock or 4:59, and they close at 5, and you're like, I have to do this, and this, and you sure don't want to go ask for a loan at that time.
Right.
So I get that. Let's see. My other one here. Oh yeah, this is one of my biggest. I don't know why I didn't put this for number one. My biggest problem is when someone calls in and they need help on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thing is I say, "Yep, I'll help you. Are you right by the computer?" "Nope, I'm driving." How are you expecting me to help you with a website when you're driving a car?
I don't get that.
I mean, I just don't understand. And that was a big thing in the cell phone. When your cell phone was, you're having issues with your cell phone.
Yeah.
You call from a different cell phone.
Right.
They're going to have to reboot it and turn off and turn on the phone. I don't know how many people call and say, "Oh, well, I'm calling from this phone." Okay, can you get to another phone? "Well, my daughter's not home, or my wife's not home yet." Well, maybe you should call when you have access to another phone to call us, or, I mean, I guess house phones are pretty much obsolete now,
Yeah.
but people do still have them.
Yeah, my dad still has one.
Right. So, I mean, so that's okay, but if you're asking, "Hey, I need to get to the website." Oh, well, yeah, I'll help you out. "Oh, well, I didn't turn my computer on yet." You were calling for help online. What did you think we were going to do?
Why didn't you at least have it on?
Have
That's
it
what I don't
on,
get.
have it up, at least try, I guess, is I hate when they do that. "Well, I'm driving, but I guess I could do it on my cell phone." No, I don't want you to talk to me, drive a car, and then access the internet while you're driving down the freeway.
Yeah.
That seems unsafe to me.
I would say that's definitely a little unsafe.
And I've refused to help someone. I'm like, "Look, that's unsafe. You're going to have to either find a place to pull over. If you want to pull over and try it on your cell phone, we can do it. If not, but it's just that, yeah, that's, if you're calling for help, be ready to get the help. Don't call and say, "Oh yeah, I'm having issues with the website." Okay, well, we're going to help you.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not, because you're not by the computer. No, well, I'm in the garden. Who did you think you were calling? Well, I'm not going to help you with your gardening.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's one of my biggest ones. Just common sense goes out the window on that
Yeah.
one.
Another one of mine, I would say, like when people call us and they're like, "Hi, my name is blah, 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 and I need to change this, this, and this." I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I have to find your reservation. I have, some information to verify before I can actually change something. Well, why do you need to do that? Well, because, do you want Joe Schmo calling and changing your reservation or charging thousands of dollars to your credit card? So I guess it's one of those things that people don't realize. I mean, we do it not only for our security reasons, but for theirs too. Because we get a lot of people that scam artists that call and they'll try to issue tickets on somebody else's credit card that they've hacked.
Man, that's a good one. Man,
Yeah.
people do that for us. They'll call and say, "Well, I have a problem with this." I'm like, "Well, I could try and pull up your account. You have your account number." "No, you don't need that. I just need help with this." I can't verify you. I can't help you.
Yeah.
And man, I wish I had that on my list. I really did. Do you know how many wives I have called say, "Well, I'm the one that pays the bill." Well, you're not on the paperwork here.
Right.
I still can't talk to you. I mean, can their husbands or wives call for changing their reservations?
No. It
Well,
has to be their admin or them.
right. Well, it has to be someone from the company
Yeah.
or them. So they can't have, my wife's leaving on the airplane next week. Can you change her flight?
Yeah. And it can't be just anyone from the company. It has to be like the admin in their profile. So like if Jill is gone for the day and Marie calls, if Marie is not in that traveler's profile, she can't change it.
Well, that just makes sense.
So,
And
yeah.
we have authorized we call it authorized third party authorization. So if they call and give us permission, kind of sounds like what they do for you. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just verify. You know when you call a company, you're going to have to verify, and especially when you call them.
Right.
If you called them, you'll go through. Now, I'm a firm believer if someone calls you out of the blue, and then once you start to verify, don't do it.
Yeah.
But if you're calling the company, which means you know the number you're calling, you know who you're calling, you know you're going to have to verify.
Right.
They're not just going to do stuff for you. Man, that's a good one. I like that one.
And even when like we call the airlines, we have to verify like we have IATA numbers that are for each travel agency. So you have to verify to make sure that they can change it too for you if needed to. So
Oh, okay.
kind of nice. It's a little annoying sometimes, so I get it, but
Yeah, no, I can understand. One of my other pet peeves is when when someone calls in and they start with now it could be late fees, it could be an extension. When they call and say, "Well, I've been a customer for 14 years and I don't pay late fees. You're gonna waive these late fees."
no, I'm not.
I hate that you're gonna do this. Listen, if you have late fees, that means you probably are late.
Exactly.
Now, you could blame the mail, checks in the mail. I mean, that's been checks in the mail.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you mailed it, what day you mailed it, where you mailed it from. If the company didn't get the money, the company didn't get the money.
Exactly. You're
So-
going to have to pay a late fee.
Or you're going to give me an extension because they did it last time. It's kind of demanding.
Yeah.
I don't like the demanding. I will tell you when they start off with that, I really don't feel like I want to.
Yeah. I've worked for higher maintenance accounts where they've been a lot more demanding than a lot of the ones I work on now. So that's been a nice change of pace for me. So
Yeah, that's unfortunately I still deal with it. I mean, they're like, well, I'm a good customer and I've never been late, and I'm looking at the account. I'm like, we've waived $100 in late fees for you, and your late fees are like $25 each. That's at least $4.
yeah,
So don't tell me you've never been late.
right.
And then I see, it's just don't demand. If you're like, look, I'm sorry, come up with some good excuse, and ask and be nice. Just say, hey, is there any way you could please waive these late fees? My husband should have paid the bills, and he didn't, so I'm have to do it. And if you could waive it, I'd appreciate it. Something like that would make me want to waive them a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably a better way to start off than just say, you're going to do this.
Right.
Because my response is going to be, no, I'm not.
Right.
So another one of my pet peeves, I would say, is when someone is either booking a flight or even a hotel or sometimes a car service or car rental, and you tell them they're sold out, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, can you check again? I'm like, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll check, but they're sold out. And they just act like we're telling them that it's sold out just for my pleasure. I'm like, you know what? This really isn't doing anything for me. I'm not going to lie to you about something like that. I'm like, if it's sold out, it's sold out.
So, yeah, I mean, do they expect you to say, hey, can you you said it's sold out, can you check again?
Yeah.
Okay, you got me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'll get you on it.
Or they like, I booked that hotel for somebody yesterday. Well, yesterday it was available, today it's not.
They do realize that I mean, things sell out. I
Yeah.
mean, that happens.
There's only so many hotel rooms a hotel has. Once they're full, they're full.
Well, and a car. I mean, there's so many cars that Enterprise has,
No.
and I think they're in a price range there too, right?
Right. No. Well, it depends. Most car is based on the type of car, like your cars and then your SUVs and then your larger SUVs. So it's based on the car type.
So if they're needing a certain model, they could be sold out. Yet they can still have other cars that are outside of their criteria, right?
Right. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it when they're like, well, it was available yesterday. Like,
Well, then you should have ordered it yesterday.
yeah. Or like, I had one today where there was a party of 4 traveling. She only booked 3, and she called back to add a 4th one. And I'm like, well, the rate was $199 yesterday, but it's like $313 today.
So how often do those rates change?
They actually can change. It depends. It's how quickly they load them in the system, how quickly they sell out. Because like even with our corporate discounts, they only get so many rooms at that rate. Once they're sold out, they're sold out. And it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It's interesting.
I could see that. I could totally see that. So, and then I think one of my last ones on my list here was when you get those customers that they call in and right out the bat, they're yelling at you or arguing right off the bat.
Oh.
Though, I mean, I don't get that. I could understand being upset.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say, hey, how can I help you today? And they start screaming at me, you're not going to get good service when you do that to people. I mean,
You're not. Yeah. It's like, do you want me to call you and yell at you to help me with something?
yeah, I mean, I'm full believer of once, if you call a customer service person or you're talking with someone, if they start to get an attitude with you, yeah, I'll get an attitude back.
Right.
But I'm going to start off very civil. I could even call and say, hey, if especially if I'm calling back, in my 3rd, 4th, 5th time calling and not getting any response or not getting a good answer or, getting hung up on. I get that happens, but I'm not going to take that out on the next rep. I flat out have said, hey, look, I've already been hung up on. I've already had someone that was rude. I'm frustrated and I'm a little upset. So I'm going to try not to take it out on you, but I'm going to need some help here.
Yeah, that's always a good way to start it off because you're setting that expectation for the call and you're not just yelling at the person.
Right. And you're letting them know, hey, look, I'm upset. This is what happened. That person has a chance to go through. And of course, companies make notes. I'm sure you guys make notes on accounts all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So we make notes on the account saying, and we can look at, who's gotten the call before. We look at the notes and we're like, I was trying to do this and customer was rude. Told her, normally what happens is I'll see notes that say, customer started cursing at me, gave verbal warning to disconnect, customer continued, disconnected call.
Oh, nice.
Now I can see those notes. So, and then you're starting to yell at me right off the bat. I'll say, hey, I'm going to try and help you out here. What do you need? What can I help you with? And I'll tell them, I'm not going to yell at you. I appreciate you not yelling at me. I don't get paid enough to yell at people.
Right.
I really don't. I mean, you got to pay me at least $5, $10 more an hour to yell at somebody, or especially collections. I couldn't do collections.
Oh, no, that would be way too much.
Yeah, no, don't get paid enough to do that. I will just nice and easy job.
Yeah.
I'll help you out, and it's almost like they think you're doing something on purpose to them.
Yeah, like they're like you're out to get them for some reason.
Right,
And it's
and
like,
I
no,
don't know
not.
you. Yeah, I have no clue who you are. care less who you are.
Right.
So, what do you got for your?
I was going to go into the hotel rate changes, but we kind of touched on that a little bit. So I guess another one of mine would probably be when a traveler calls me from the airport and they're not in a quiet space. They'll, because you can hear the gate agents talking over them. I guess my whole take on that is I can understand if you're calling because your flights have been delayed or it's been canceled, but when you're calling to make a new reservation for 2 weeks out, don't call me when you're at the airport when I can't hear you. And then you have to like repeat yourself all the time. It's like, at least call me when you get back to the office or from your hotel room. Like,
Do you get the calls where they're in their car having the windows down and you can just hear the wind blowing?
we sometimes get the ones with the radio on, but that's probably about it.
Yeah, I've had a couple where they call in and, I guess I'll tell them, I'm like, hey, I can barely hear you. And they're like, oh, sorry, I have the top down.
Oh,
You really think that's a good time to start making phone calls when your top is down and you're cruising down the road?
yeah. I like also the ones that'll call us and they'll whisper their credit card because they're like in the middle of a meeting or something. And it's like, I can't hear you. Call me back when you're done with your meeting and you can tell me your credit card number.
Yeah, I've heard that. Or when they do verification, and they give us the social, they have to give us the social sometimes.
Yeah.
And, then they whisper it, and I'm like, I could barely hear you before, and you're in line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
You wait until you're in private.
Right.
I guess.
I just don't get that.
I've heard people in restaurants, and that's my biggest pet peeve there too. When you're in a restaurant and you are on the phone and other diners are there.
Oh, yeah. My biggest one is when you're in the bathroom and somebody else is on their phone.
I'm
like, really?
I have a tendency of because you don't know that they're really on their phone, especially if they're one of the stalls.
Yeah.
So when you hear, yeah, I'm here, and I'll answer back. I'm like, me too. What are we doing today? How are you doing? And then everyone's always like, I think the other guy's in the stall trying to talk to me. And I'm like, yeah, maybe not use your phone in the bathroom.
Right?
I mean,
I just don't get that. I'm like,
well, that leads me to, other customer service. Those are kind of our pet peeves when people are calling us and dealing with that. And we kind of talked a little bit about, remember that airline that baby was crying for 45 minutes?
yeah.
And the customer or one of the persons there got upset. I'm still on the fence with that.
Yeah. I can see your point a little bit. So.
The same would be in the in a restaurant. I mean, if I go to a restaurant, I hate when little kids are running around.
Yeah.
It's not a playground, it's a restaurant.
And I think restaurants are a little bit different from an airplane because, if you're at a restaurant and your kid's crying, get up and take him out real quick.
Well, see, and this is where, and I think this is where you and I have a conflict of interest here. Mm-hmm. On the airplane, move the person who's being upset, or move the baby to a place less. Maybe you have first class or back in the back of the plane where you have 3 or 4 people say, hey, we don't mind, bring them back here for a little bit.
Yeah.
I get that, but obviously it was bothering somebody.
Yeah. And I see your point on that too, but most of the time these days, the flights are full. There's really no place for them to go. And really, like with the federal regulations or whatever, like you're really not allowed to go stand back in that galley.
Well, I get that, and I understand that, but this guy didn't ask for a crotch goblin on the plane.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I don't, I get kids fly. I get kids are going to be on the airplane. I get kids are going to be out there. But I don't agree with if if your kid's going to be crying and I get, a little bit of crying. I could understand a little bit of crying. 45 minutes though. That's almost an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, what if it was like, 5, 10, 15 minutes? Maybe they got up and tried to walking up the aisle, but I mean, 45 minutes.
Yeah. It is a long time. I guess I'm just one of those people where I can tune things out better.
Well, and that's why I say find someone, look around the plane and see if someone might want to switch seats so they can say, hey, I don't mind if the baby's back here. I could tune it out. I have headphones.
Yeah.
I could tune it out, bring it back here so it doesn't bother any more people. Maybe move it into the galley where, those curtains might not help that much, but I mean, that keeps the baby from crying right in front of somebody or right behind somebody, especially, I mean, what if he was a nervous flyer? What if he's already nervous and he's already on the edge? I don't like flying. It's something you have to do. And then you throw a crying baby in the mix. Yeah. I mean, can a human cry all through the airplane without the marshal coming over? I mean, I've heard people raising their voice and getting the marshals called.
Yeah. People get in fights about
The mask.
That and people reclining their seats.
Right. So, I mean, you're putting people in a tough situation already.
Yeah.
Now, you take that back to a restaurant, and I don't mind a kid crying in the restaurant, and it really depends on the restaurant. Now, if I go to Chuck E. Cheese, Dave and Buster's, what was the other one we just went to?
Amazing Pizza Machine.
Amazing Pizza Machine. There's restaurants out there that are like very kid friendly. Those
Right. They're loud environments.
right. If you go there complaining about a kid, there's something wrong with you.
Right. Don't go.
But if I'm going to Chili's or even IHOP or any restaurant that I know, nice sit down restaurant, I don't want kids running around. And I mean, I understand kids cry for a little bit. Take them outside. I remember taking Mikey outside. Do you remember any of that?
No, I don't.
Mikey, when he was little, if he acted up, we walked outside until he decided he was going to behave on a restaurant. And I want to say, I remember doing it when you were like right around 6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you were throwing a fit in a restaurant, and something, I don't know what happened. I don't even remember what happened. And I said, look, if you're not going to act right, you stop throwing a fit, or we're going outside. And I think you kept going, and I'm like, I scooped you right up, and right out the door we went. I mean, that's what you do.
That is what you do. I mean, it's how hard is it to go out there and give the kid a timeout? So.
Well, it's a timeout. Or we were just at the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They're having some kind of I guess some kind of chicken dinner or something that they have up there.
Yeah.
And there was that she was an autistic girl, I'm going to gather.
I think so, yeah.
And she was throwing a fit.
Yeah. They had the chicken dinner, it was packed, and then they had karaoke or they had a band playing. So
Right.
it was just a lot.
So you have a loud environment and someone who's autistic. That's a recipe for disaster. And she had a complete meltdown.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where she was screaming and like over everything. You could hear her screaming.
Yeah, like a shriek.
Right. And I mean, at that point, you're already there. You're kind of, no one thought to scoop her up to get her out of that environment. I mean, she was overstimulated.
I think after a while they finally did, but I mean, it was quite a few shrieks later.
She was overstimulated.
Yeah.
That was the bottom line. Is there was way too much going on. She wasn't able to process everything. She had a meltdown.
Yeah.
You have to understand. You have to know your environment.
Exactly.
And you have to you better start getting clues. I mean, because you'll get clues from autistic kids that are there's clues that go in there.
Yeah.
Just like when you're out with your dogs, your dogs will alert, say, hey, you start to look, okay, they're starting to wander around. Looks like they're wanting to go to the bathroom.
Mm.
Let them out. I mean, people give you clues.
Yeah.
I mean, people need to pay attention. So
They do, yeah. I mean, it was sad. I mean, you feel bad for both of them, but then on the other hand, you're like, you should know. Like, you should be able to, like, read and know if it's coming and kind of try to prevent that. And not only for the other people, but for that person. Because, I mean, she had to be terrified.
yeah, that's not a good environment for her. I mean, she's
Yeah.
not going to enjoy that. And you got to understand that creates a memory of a bad experience.
Right.
So next time she wants to go, that actually, it may be fine the next time, but she has that anxiety already there because something's already happened.
Yeah.
You know, it creates a bad memory. So,
Yep.
no, I get it. So, well, that's our customer service episode. That was time went by quick on this
That
one.
was a quick one, yeah.
What's our next episode going to be?
Our next episode is going to be the art of massage.
Oh, we just had one this week.
We did.
We
That
did.
Felt so good.
We did an hour and a half.
Yep.
A world of difference. We normally do an hour, but man, that extra half hour.
Was nice, definitely.
Yeah. So next one's going to be a massage.
Okay.
Now I think we just got our stickers.
Oh, we did just
we
get
did.
some stickers.
We just got our stickers in the mail.
We're waiting on our T-shirts still.
So and yep. So and your brother's, it's his Etsy store. It's Orion Solutions.
I think so. Yep. Orion.
See, oh man, your brother's gonna kill you if you mess up his name of his store. You don't have the name of your brother's store, really?
I know it's Orion. I can't remember the second part of it. Orion Inspirations.
Orion Inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
He'd kick your rear if you driving people the wrong people. We'll put it. We have it on our Facebook site, right?
Yep, we're gonna post it on there, and if anybody wants to get some of our stuff or even design your own stuff, he can definitely help you with that.
Yeah, he has a lot of good stuff on there. I've
He
seen
does, yeah.
a lot of vacation stuff.
Yeah, they're really big into going down to some of the Sandals resorts. So,
Oh, okay.
yep, they
Well-
like the tropical destinations.
Well, don't we all? I mean, that's going to be very obvious.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's going to be our show.
All right.
We'll move on to the next, won't we?
Sounds good.
Thank you all for listening. We hope you stick around for the after show. We're going to have a few more topics on there for you.
All righty. Bye, everybody.